Hello and welcome back to Writer Makes Videos. My name is Jess and today I'm doing another debunking episode. So this is episode 2 of Making Craft Rules Accessible, and this is debunking the idea of not editing as you write. Now personally, I'm very biased. I edit as I write, and so I'm going to be defending the idea that you can edit as you write, because I find it's very helpful. If you like these episodes and others, please consider subscribing. I've not really ever asked anybody to do so, but if you have seen this video or you find these helpful at all, I would really appreciate it. And if you'd rather just connect in another way, I also do have an Instagram that I'm very active on, at @jmtesta, so come on by and feel free to hang out. As with all of my debunking series, I also post it on my Instagram so you can see the short form version of it there, but I do appreciate you watching this video. So why is don't edit as you write considered a rule? Rewrite in process is usually found to be an excuse for not going on, said Steinbeck. It also interferes with flow and rhythm, which can only come from a kind of unconscious association with the material. The main idea behind don't edit while you write is rooted in a neurotypical style of content production and productivity. While the sentiment is encouragement to not take a first draft so seriously, the larger subtext is that being unable to write consistently without going back is somehow a flaw in the writer's process. Two things can be true. As a recovering perfectionist and an individual who struggles with anxiety, I have chosen to break the rule. I edit while I write, and I don't take my first draft so seriously. I'm here to tell you that it makes writing much more enjoyable, and I'm here to share how. One of the best practices I've employed is rereading my previous session's work so I can reframe where I've been and where I'm headed. And oftentimes I'll find typos, an awkward space, a misspelled name, and then I'll fix them. It takes less than a second in most instances, and it provides me a sense of relief to know that my manuscript is that much closer to being completely clean. In keeping my edits effective part 2, during my writing sessions, I do not hesitate to write myself questions about the story in my notes. They're incredibly informal, oftentimes just kind of to get my brain thinking in this secondary space, like for the overarching narrative of my story versus in the immediate of what I'm actually writing. They're oftentimes just a train of thought to make sure I'm considering all aspects of the plot, character, and how I want the story to move forward. Oftentimes, I will answer a question of a roadblock as I'm actually typing the question, so it's kind of just having a conversation with myself. And with that, I can take the information that I've garnered from that and then go back to the sections that I want to fix much more effectively, and it helps me know that the previous sections, A, my ideas for them are not lost, and B, I can move forward with the present section knowing that the information that I've uncovered from writing this section has now been fixed to make the former section make more sense. And in keeping my edits effective, part 3, if something isn't working, there's no need to let it sit. You don't have to let this chapter that you're working on that isn't quite feeling right, the setting isn't right, the tone isn't right, something is off and you're not sure what it is. You kind of like where you're going, but it's just not working, but you gotta keep going, you gotta keep writing, you can't edit. No, just delete it. Just delete it. Get rid of it right then and there. Do not bother to, oh, it'll get fixed later. Oh, well, I'll discover what I'm supposed to do later. No, just delete it. I promise you, I promise it will be so much easier and so much more relieving as a writer to know that there isn't this giant chunk of my own manuscript that is just completely unusable for the scene. In simpler terms, say you've moved on to a new chapter and you discovered something about the story that you know is better for it, but the last scene you wrote contradicts the new knowledge that you found. Go rewrite what doesn't work. You can backtrack and fix to keep your mind and the sense of clarity intact. Keeping tabs on your own lore and story progression can assist in making sure you're developing a stronger narrative. Often when we're saving bigger content edits for the end of the process, we can forget what our thoughts were and accidentally write ourselves into plot holes because we didn't bother to edit as we went. Giving your manuscript continual attention during the first draft makes lighter work for subsequent drafts. One of my favorite pieces of advice that I give so many new writers and that I've touted multiple times on this channel already Note taking is your friend. Taking and keeping informal notes. They don't have to be polished, they don't have to be pretty, they just need to serve a purpose. Questions and ponderings about your story as you're writing it will help you think more critically about what is happening in the narrative without getting bogged down in the manuscript itself. The act of also physically writing your notes, and I'm a huge proponent of like pen and paper physical writing your notes. I will admit I have never written my manuscript in pen and paper, not the entirety of it anyway, in like after I've printed the entire manuscript and then I want to add a scene in, I've written that by hand, but not initially. Anyway, the act of physically writing your notes, if you can, if it is a possibility for you, it also helps to re-engage your brain and focus on the task at hand. So bringing your concentration to a targeted area of your writing can encourage you to also continue writing as you work through the issues presented. Let's face it, when you're pouring your heart and soul into a word soup, you want it to taste good. It's encouraging to be able to go back over your manuscript and see passages that are reflective of your ideal vision for your work. Tuning a draft as you write makes lighter work in the end, as I've already mentioned. It helps improve your craft and can give you the opportunity to think more critically as you write. Plus, it just kind of feels good to go back and read something in a first draft that you've written and see that it's not bad. So I don't personally think that don't edit as you write isn't the worst piece of advice that writers get, but like Show Don't Tell in my previous episode, if you haven't checked that out already, please do if you're interested in that. It presents itself as less nuanced than it really is. This is especially true for those who cannot follow this advice in the literal way, like I can't, because the way it's presented, just some of our brains don't work like that. We can't just completely tune out the bad pieces and just keep on going. I have to go back and I have to fix what isn't working so I can feel better about everything. So how I like to think of this is don't edit as you write to perfection, edit to progression. The goal is the same. Keep writing. However, I believe that by giving yourself the permissions to make you and your work feel better, it will improve your relationship with the very intimate process that is writing. That's all I've got. Another debunking of another popular piece of writing advice. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like, or if you have another debunking that you'd like me to do, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I will attempt to put a spin on it. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.